Okay, let's add a couple finishing touches now, add some makeup. So let's look at changing eye color. Let's look at adding some color to the lips and maybe giving some eyeshadow up here as well, some eye color up here. So again, there's so many different ways of doing things in Photoshop that I just couldn't explain them all to you, and I just have to give you the one that I think would be easier for you to grasp, easiest for you to grasp in a short amount of time, and then you're just going to have to play from there. The more experience you gain, the more different ways you're going to learn how to do things in Photoshop. And if one doesn't work, you find another way for it. So let's start out by changing the color of her eyes. And we're going to do that using an adjustment layer, which we haven't used yet. And we're also going to mask that adjustment layer as well. With the skin layer selected, I'm going to put this layer above it, and this is the layer I'm going to choose here. It's called Hue Saturation. So I'm going to click on this adjustment layer up here, and it's going to give me the Hue Saturation panel here. And you can see here now, if I move this slider around, I'm changing all the colors in the image. Well, I only want to affect the eyes. The eyes are the only color I want to change. So I'm going to have to create a mask, something that's called a mask, to be able to hide everything but the eyes. So currently you see this mask here is white. So that means reveal all. It's showing everything here that's in the layer. And if I want to hide all I have to do is select on the mask. So when I click on the mask, my properties change here. Now depending on what I want to do, if I want to edit the mask or if I want to edit the actual properties of the adjustment layer, I click on either one of these boxes here. So we're going to look at adjusting the mask here, and the way we're going to do that is, first of all, we're going to invert the mask so we're hiding everything. So now everything is hidden, it's black. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint white over the eyes to let them be revealed. And I'm going to zoom in, and you can use varying shades of, oops, my computer is being slow, weird. You can use varying shades of black or white in order to change a mask here. So if I wanted to, I can use different opacities in order to blend those things in. But I'm going to try just using a soft brush right now. So I'm getting my brush tool, and this brush size might be a little large, but let's try it and see what happens here. So you can adjust opacity and flow as well in order to give you varying degrees of what you're painting on here. So you can see it's starting to get darker now. The blue is starting to come in. And I just paint around until I got it everywhere that I need it to be. And then I'm going to want to do again the same thing on the other iris as well. So that's one. And let's zoom out, see how that looks. So you can see I just have the iris. Let's go to the other one. And let's paint that on. And then I'll show you the advantage of doing it this way. A advantage, I mean, it's just, again, another way. But we want to just try to get it so we can see all the color and change all the color here. If we get too much, we're going to start making the white of the eye, which I did a little bit over here. We're going to make the white of the eye blue as well, and or the skin tone. If that happens, just hit X, switch colors, and erase part of the mask. Okay, but it looks like I still have some green out there. And so again, I can hit X and try to get as much of that as I can, to get as much of that color change as I can. So let's zoom back out, double click the hand, and you can see pretty much change the eye color. Now here's the cool thing with Hue and Saturation, is if I click on this now, I can change just the color of her eyes by moving the slider. So I can make them super, super green. Or I can try to match maybe the color of her straps here with the blue, make them more gray, or even we're getting like towards purple here. We can really do some crazy stuff with that. So I can get them bright blue, foamy kind of blue, whatever color I want here. Okay? So that's using Hue Saturation, and that's creating a layer mask here. what's really cool about these layer masks is they just apply to the layer itself. And like I showed you with the skin, we can put it on regular layers as well and hide parts of those layers as well. So it works with regular layers or adjustment layers. So let's go ahead and try the same thing with the lips. And we can have different shades of lipstick being applied here, doing it that way. And we can actually add another hue saturation layer on top of this. And it's not going to affect what's underneath here because we're only revealing the eyes. So as long as we're not doing anything to where the eyes are, we can change that independently. So I'm going to select the mask again. I'm going to invert it so it's all dark. And then I'm going to select the lips. So I'm going to select the color on the lips. And actually, it might be a good idea to make this a really crazy color so I can see what I'm painting on here. So I'm going to zoom in here. And I need to make sure I'm back on the mask. Then I'm going to get the white brush again and start painting on here. So yeah. So again, I can use varying degrees of opacity. I can switch the brush size color, and I'm really not a makeup person, so I'm probably not going to do this as well as you guys will, but making the brush a little bigger, I can get most of the lip color here. And then I can erase part of it if I need to later. So I'm just going to rough this so I don't take too much of your time here. Again, you guys are going to do a way better job of this than I will. And it looks like I got too much there, but not to worry. Okay, I'll just kind of rough it out here. I'm going to get most of it here. And then if I need to erase, I just hit X and go over the areas I need to erase. And then I can change the slider with hue saturation and get the color that I really want. So the other thing that I can do here, I'm going to zoom out so I can see this a little better, is I can adjust saturation here. So if I want to saturate it more, if I want it to be really, really bright, I can increase the saturation. Okay, and I can fine tune it too if it doesn't look right as far as the color goes. So that's applying lipstick. Another way you can do this if you don't have the right hue, if you can't get the right hue from hue saturation, because sometimes it's limited, the colors that you can get here. And if you want to try to get a different color, like a dark maroon color, you're not going to really get that here. So you might have to do it a different way. And the way I'm going to show you next for doing her eye color over her eyes is probably what you'd want to use if this color is not working for you here. That's hue saturation on the lips and the eyes. And now if I want to add some more color to the eyes here, hue saturation doesn't really work for this. So the best way to do this is using another layer. We want to make a new layer here. And this layer we want to use a blend mode of hue. Okay, then I'm going to select a color. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to select a color that I want to use to put on her eyes. And I'll just select something from the irises of her eyes. I'll select the color from there and see how that works. And then I'm going to reduce my opacity of my brush down to probably like 21 or so. Reduce the flow down to 50 or so. And then from here, I can just use a paint stroke and then apply the color. Did it do anything? I think it did. Yep, it's very subtle because I have these down very, very low here. So the more I stroke over it, the more I'm going to darken it. But you can see I have a very subtle application of color here. I'm going to do it on her other eye too. So I have a slight bit of makeup here. And if you want to, you can draw with a pen with a separate layer. You might have to play around with the blending modes, but you could use a dark pen and darken her eyes even more. But you can see I just have a subtle bit of blue on her eyes here. I don't know if I'm too excited with the lip color, so I could play around with that a little bit and just get it perfect where I want it. Again, I can really saturate it if I want to. Get the color just right. I don't know. Well, I don't know from makeup, so like I said, you guys can do better than me. If I need to add some overall lightening or darkening, what I could do is add a level here. And what the level will do will give me some tonal adjustments here, like we did with Lightroom and Bridge. So if I wanted to darken it up a little, darken up the background a little bit, I could darken it and add a little bit lighter, and you can see that this makes it even more dramatic. And that concludes correcting and enhancing an image to get that magazine cover glamour shot.